Okay, guys, welcome back to another story time episode. Sorry this one took so long. I know I mentioned that I was going to do the duck dive, when to duck dive, when to bail video a couple weeks back, but we just got super busy. The waves have been pumping. There's been swell after swell after swell, so we've just been putting out the videos of all the content we've been getting. But it ended up working out because now we have a ton of content to hopefully overlay over this, just as far as different duck dives and bails and different scenarios. So basically how I'm going to try and do this is I'm going to explain the different scenarios of when to duck dive, what to do on certain duck dives, when not to, and then go into when to bail, when not to bail, and what to do during bail situations. And this is all just personal experience. You guys may have better theories that work better for you, and that's great and that's perfect. But hopefully just you might learn something new here or there that they can take away and try it and hopefully get less worked. Okay, so we'll jump right into it. Duck dive portion. Duck diving is your first, your go-to, of course. Every paddle out, most paddle outs, you're gonna do a duck dive. Pretty much every session, you're gonna be duck diving. I'll start with big whitewaters. So on big whitewaters, most of the time, I duck dive. And by that I mean if it's a giant 15-foot steamrolling second reef, I'm going to duck dive it because I don't want to break my leash. Bailing, you have a chance of breaking your leash. But duck diving, you can, and I literally do this, bear hug my board, hang on for dear life. You're going to do cartwheels, you're going to flip around, but your board is super buoyant. And your board is going to get to the surface. If you're not whether you're with it or without it, it's going to get to the surface before you most of the time. So you can use your board like a buoy. Bear hug it, hang on to it. Eventually, it's going to bring you to the surface. Now, here's a fun trick with that. You duck dive, you're getting pounded, and you're getting pushed far underwater. What you want to do is you have your hands on your rails, turn it sideways underwater. Your board is going to go, once it goes sideways, it's going to be able to go between the boils and big power sources of the whitewater that are pushing you down. If your board's flat, it's going to catch it and push it down further. If it's sideways, it's going to go between them. And you're just like this, hanging off the side, getting dragged to the surface. Every time I duck dive a big whitewater and do that, I feel it guide me straight to the surface, as long as it's not too violent. So that's kind of the case for big whitewaters. Duck dive, if you're getting ragdolled, bear hug it, you're going to come up faster than the guy that bailed. If you're getting pushed super deep, you're on your board, you know your board's going to get to the surface quick, turn it sideways, ride it straight up. You get to the surface, your board's in your hands, you have time to paddle as fast as you can, get out of the way of the next one. Most of the time the guy that bailed, he is still trying to collect his board's going like this, it's dragging underwater. He can't get to it, he gets the next one on the head, and the next one you get pushed to the beach. Or he breaks his leash, he has a long swim in. While it does consume a lot of energy, hanging on to your board and bear hugging it on big whitewater duck dives, it's just better all around. You don't bail your board in front of anybody. You don't have to do a long swim to the beach in case of a leash break, things like that. All right, I'll move on to kind of more of a slabby or dumpy beach break. Say you're paddling out, a set's coming, you're like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it. The slave's gonna land like directly in front of me. When a big slab breaks, it breaks, lands here, and then explodes straight back up, creating a secondary explosion. I'll wait for that, see it coming, try and time the distance. You wanna be about 5 feet away from where that lip lands, so just here, and then you duck dive under that second explosion, and there's this empty pocket of space of where it explodes again, goes over you, and it's as if you duck dove straight through the main part of the barrel and you come out the back and you're fine, right? You're not going to be out the back, but you're going to be in a pocket that doesn't have the turbulence that the main lip caused or the whitewater after you causes. So lip lands, you put yourself in this position, turn sideways so that your nose or tail doesn't get clipped by that second explosion. Turn sideways, duck dive, and you'll feel its calm around you. Boom, straight to the surface. Judge whatever you're going to do next. It's it'd be easier to show you guys, obviously, if we were there in the water together, but hopefully Zoard will have some clips of these scenarios. Obviously, you can mistime this, and I've made the mistake of being too close to where that lip lands. You get absolutely exploded. So good timing is key on that. If you feel you're in the right spot, then go for it. If the lip lands on you, then it lands on you. You're going to get worked either way. If it is really shallow, so like we're talking dry reef, I would just get off your board and lay in the water. Because either you're going to duck dive and you're going to scrape your knuckles on the reef and then get pounded into it, or you're going to get just smashed onto it and you don't really want to be not in control, I'd have to say. So if it's dry reef and the slab is landing on you, my go-to is off the board, just under surface. As soon as wave comes over me, I push myself up into it, into the whitewater, and try to get to the surface as quick as possible, away from that reef. I think that kind of hopefully that's enough info on duck diving aspects. I guess as far as mechanics, many of you duck dive with your knee. I duck dive with my knee when it's smaller, but honestly, most of the time, if it's anything bigger than head high, I use my foot to grip pad. So hands on rails, not knee to board. I go foot to grip pad. You get a bigger dunk. And a lot of times you can go foot to grip pad, big dunk, and then if you're strong enough, you can do a secondary, turn your rail down and scoop water and pull yourself to your board. If you're strong enough and you do that right, you can do almost a double duck dive and get deeper. If the situation warrants, you can get deeper than normal. So hopefully that covers. I'm trying to think of other scenarios. Again, 6 to 15 foot whitewater. If I can, if no one's bailing their board in front of me, if it's not landing directly on me, then I will go to a duck dive. I see a lot of guys out at Pipe, they bail their boards every time. They resort straight to bailing, and it's just they end up breaking their leashes, or they throw their board in front of someone else and that person gets hit by their board, or their leashes get tangled. It's a nightmare. All my friends, me, John, Kieran, Koa, Eli, we're all duck divers. You'll see us all duck dive those sets. I mean, unless it's a 15-footer apexing on your head where your board's going to get blown out of your hands anyway, we're duck diving out there. Or unless someone bails in front of us, which if someone bails in front of you, then just get away from that board. There's no reason to duck dive. He's already bailed. You don't want to get hit and go unconscious or something like that. People have been hit by boards from bailing at Pipe and split their heads open badly. Okay, so when to bail. This one is interesting. So the risk of bailing, right? You have broken leash and you're going to have a long swim in. You're no longer on your board, and so you can get pushed very deeply, and your board may go to the surface and start tombstoning, but you're still getting pounded. That's one thing I don't like with bailing, is you're not on that super floating board, you know? You're getting pushed super deep. It's just your body, unless you have a padded suit on. You're connected by a leash, but oftentimes if the wave's big enough, your leash will break. So then now you're free floating underwater, getting extremely pounded. Obviously, there's just scenarios that warrant bails, whether the wave is going to apex on you and you can't get away from it, you can't get in a situation to try and duck dive that next explosion, and I wouldn't recommend anything over 10 foot. I wouldn't recommend trying to time that second explosion. It's too unpredictable. There's too much power going on. You don't know if you're going to make it into that pocket. So if someone bails in front of you, bail your board. Get out of the way of their board. You don't want to get hit. If the wave's going to land directly on you, bail your board. I've had ones where I've tried thinking like, oh my God, I think I can make it, and paddling out, and you're like, I'm right there, I'm just going to try. I've had boards break in my hands and then proceeded to get beat down, which is the worst case scenario. Board breaks in your hand, your leash breaks, you get pounded on the reef, and you basically got the worst end of everything. So you don't want to do that. When you bail, unless you're trying to escape a big lip landing on you, you're here, you bail, you know you can make it through, screw your board, screw your leash, you're trying to just make it out of the back, you don't want that big wave to land on you. If it's a big whitewater, then I'll dive not super deep, I'll dive under and I'll look up, open my eyes, and I'll look up at the plumes of whitewater. Oftentimes, there's these big rows of plumes coming down at you. And in between them are pockets of clear water, straight to the surface. So as soon as you dive down, as soon as you see those, you want to gun for one of those clearings. You're going to get to the surface way faster than usual. Obviously, there's times where you're just going to get pounded and you're going to get pulled down. In those times, focus on where your board is pulling from. Board's probably at the surface. Leash there, you can climb your leash, or just do the normal struggle and try and get to the surface. Let's see, what else? If you're getting super dragged underwater, so say you bail and your board is not coming with you, you can cross your legs, arms up like this, and get pulled with it. It's just easier than fighting your board. If you're up and your board is pulling you down, then you might want to just get pulled along with it. Another point on duck diving. If you're duck diving a wave like this, it's breaking like this, then you'd really want to try and push down on your back foot on that grip pad and scoop under and forward, right? You never want to think, oh, my head's going down, and your tail comes up and you end up going over the falls backwards. It's happened to all of us. But I see it with less experienced paddlers and duck divers, is they think kind of frantic, I just want to get through the wave, I want to get out the back, it's barreling over me. And they duck dive, but they duck dive and they go real front heavy and they end up getting pulled over backwards, their feet in the air. You gotta just take your time. If it's breaking over you, then you're in the best possible spot to duck dive. Board down, big scoop, foot pressure on your back, scoop the board, and then don't go like that either, but scoop the board and go forward. And the forward momentum you're not moving very fast forward, but the momentum of the wave going the other way will push you to a clear spot out the back. And paddle. As soon as you get to the surface, even if the wind's in your face, start paddling hard. You don't know what's behind it. What else? Trying to think if there's anything more I can add. We kind of went over the different scenarios, different tactics. You can practice duck diving in a pool. You could just practice, you know. When you're out the back, sitting around, practice it out and see how deep you can duck dive. See if you can do the double scoop or triple scoop. That's going to help you in the long run. Anything else on bailing? Honestly, always just be aware and look behind you. You never want to bail your board directly in front of someone. I mean, unless you have no choice and you're in danger of like getting severely lipped, then best to just try not to bail your board. Oh, okay, so one other thing with a scenario of you're at somewhere like Chopes, a big slabbing reef break. It's a really thick wave coming in. The simple fact is you cannot duck dive a big wave like that at Chopes or any slab with a bunch of water behind it. It's just a fact. I've been the guy to try and duck dive. I've gone straight over the falls. I learned that quick lesson when I was younger out there. Bail your board. You just have to bail. You have to send your board over the falls, sacrifice it, your leash, whatever. Take your leash off, swim through that thing. As soon as you start swimming under it, you're going to quickly realize, like, oh my God, I'm so stoked, because it's still pulling you back, even without your board or anything. Those bombs at Chopes are so spooky, and I've seen guys thinking, oh, I'm going to do the casual duck dive through the barrel, pop out the back, fine. Straight up over the falls. Every single time. Do not duck dive really thick, back heavy slabs, because there's so much energy moving over the falls. Even if you're a professional duck diver, you're in a mass of water where the 10 feet in front of you and the 10 feet in behind you, that entire thing, that whole mass is going over. You can be the best duck diver in the world, you're still going to go over the falls. Big ones like that, there's too much energy. You have to swim through them. You have to swim down at an angle, up and through, and get out of the way of the next one. I mean, oftentimes I'll take my leash off on a slab like that. I don't even want the risk of my board pulling me over or pulling me in to take the next one on the head. That's another thing with duck diving is you do on big whitewater, say for instance that big pipe, or you run the risk of getting pulled in that whitewater very far in. You don't break your leash and your board doesn't break, both advantages. I've seen so many boards break because of needless bails, but you may get a little more worked. But then you paddle back out and you might get the wave of your life, so it's a give and take. Beach breaks, pretty much I'm always duck diving unless, again, like I said, it's a direct lip to head connection. Any whitewater, just duck dive on a beach break. There's really there's no risk to run unless, like I said, the lip is gonna land on your head. Just duck dive. I think that's about it. I think I've covered most of the topics of duck diving. If I think of anyone else, I'm a little scoots out right now. But hopefully that covers most of the different scenarios you'll find yourself in on when to duck dive and when to bail and what to do once you duck dive or bail. I think top things to remember would be on big duck dives, remember to turn that board sideways, meaning rail to surface, and hang on and get dragged to the surface. Stay out of the way of other people. If someone bails in front of you, don't try and brave a duck dive. You don't want to get hit by that board. Timing on that second explosion. And a lot of times you can watch from the beach. You'll see it, boom, lip lands, huge explosion, and then another force of wave breaks again under that. So many times. Huge, scary ones at back door. Timing, boom, breaks over me, come up untouched in a boil. And you can bail in that area too. Like if you have no board, then you can put your body in that little pocket as well. And you want to, when you go under, you want to boom to the surface quickly. You don't want to stay down or duck dive too deep because you run the risk of just hitting one of the plumes of exploding water. You guys may ask, do I open my eyes underwater? If I'm already in a whitewater meaning I've taken one on the head and the next one's coming, I won't open my eyes. But if I'm in clear water and it's the first wave of the set, I always open my eyes to see what's going on. You just want to see if you need to avoid something or navigate through the plumes of energy, anything like that. Hopefully you guys find this episode interesting. I'm trying to think of things that I missed or didn't speak about. One thing I forgot to add in recording the video earlier is I'll never try and duck dive a board that's over 7 feet. So 7 feet and under, most of it's duck diving unless the facts I said before that qualify for bailing your board. And so for example, you'll see us any outer reef session, any jaws session, any big wave session like that on those big guns. No one's strong enough to duck dive those boards. You'll see us bailing, mostly in the face of those things. What it will do is bail, swim as far through as we can, and as the wave grabs our board, it starts to pull us back over because our leashes are super, super strong out there. It's the Piahi Jaws 12-foot leash that Dakine makes. We'll splay out like a sea anchor in order to hopefully your board pulls through the back of the wave instead of you getting pulled over the falls. And it works here and there. I saw some guys go over. For example, the last Jaws event, I pulled my board through maybe 5 or 6 huge sets that I got caught inside by and didn't have to get worked on any, but I did see some guys get over. Toss your board, splay out underwater. Hopefully you can pull it through the face of it. If not, you're probably going to go over. And you really don't want your leash to break out at Jaws because the boards go into the rocks and they're pretty much done after that. But just some info I forgot to add in earlier. Ask in the comments and I'll try and cover any points you guys are curious about. That's it for now. Thanks for listening and watching. Hopefully you guys learned a little something. I'll try and put out more informative videos like this. There's just tons of stuff, little things that I need to think about or that you guys can remind me about if you're curious about. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.